Hi, everyone. Welcome to our devotion for Wednesday, March 10th. We continue the story that we started yesterday of Jesus taking his disciples to Caesarea Philippi and asking them, "Who do you say that I am?" And what are the metaphors and the images and the ideas that we use to talk about who Jesus is and how we demonstrate that in our lives, in our daily lives, with the people we encounter? Who is Jesus to us? And what does he mean to us is demonstrated in the way we treat other people. We continue that story. We read Mark 8:31-33 today. Jesus began to teach them that the Son of Man must undergo great suffering and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. And Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. But turning and looking at his disciples, he rebuked Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan, for you are setting your mind not on divine things, but on human things." And this is where our reading ends for today. So Jesus, after Peter calls him the Messiah, and our devotion for today talks about that Peter has ideas of what that means. Right? The Old Testament is full of ideas of what the Messiah is going to be like, and that's just built and built and built over hundreds and hundreds of years and over one calamity after another. What is the Messiah going to be like? But Jesus then teaches them about what he is actually going to do and what he is actually going to be like, right? He is going to undergo great suffering. Just because he's going to do wonderful things for people, people are going to hate him for it. It's kind of weird how we're like that as human beings, that even the people who do the nicest things for us, sometimes we don't like them very much. The Son of Man must undergo great suffering, and he's going to be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, the scribes. The leaders of the people are going to reject him because he's not going to work with the leadership. He's not going to try and muddle through and fix what he can. He is going to completely reinvent the world, and that is going to mean that some of the people that have a vested stake in the way the world works are going to be left out and are going to be upset about it. And of course, when that happens, right, the one line from a comic book I remember, it's the same thing that happens every time people without guns stand up to people with guns. Guns get used, right? And so these leaders of the people will kill the Son of Man for doing the things that he was sent to do. But then he adds that after 3 days, he will rise again. And I've always wondered how much of that part Peter heard, right? Because then Peter takes him aside and begins to rebuke him. No, the world's not like that, right? People don't act that way. People aren't violent to people who are doing good things. Right? Everybody's just going to fall in love with you and everything's going to be fine. Right? And that's what Peter thinks. Right? Because, of course, he loves Jesus. So why wouldn't everyone else? Right? How come everybody doesn't love me? I'm such a wonderful, nice person. Right? All the time. You should ask my kids about every time that I don't get angry at them. Anyway. Right? But turning and looking at his disciples, Jesus rebukes Peter. He tells Peter that he is wrong. And then he adds this part that confuses us, right? "Get behind me, Satan." He calls his best friend Satan. Don't do that at home. Not a safe thing, right? You're setting your mind not on divine things, but on human things. And of course, that's a temptation to Jesus, right? Jesus wants to set his mind on human things. He is a human being. He has needs and wants and desires just like all the rest of us. Of course, Jesus wants to set his mind on human things, but Jesus also has to set his mind on the divine things. And this is a challenge for us too, for Peter and for us to try and see a little bit more about the divine things, the way of God interacting in our world. How do we set our mind on the divine things that need to happen? On love, on grace, on charity, right? All of these things that need to happen that we are empowered to do and that all too often we just set our mind on the human things and we forget the divine things. And Jesus wants us to reorder that priority. So let's close with our prayer. God of truth, fill us with hope as you heal and renew us and the world. Amen. God bless you today.